The future of humanity, I think, is extremely hopeful. We stand on the threshold of a quantum leap into a dimension of consciousness we've only dreamed of. We are the offspring of the divine, the encapsulation of the whole creation. It exists interdimensionally within each one of us. There is no place to go out there. There is a place to go within yourself, to the light that created you and is manifesting you today. You have the ability to experience your Creator face to face within, to know who you truly are, to receive that knowledge and guidance, that wisdom, peace, and love. I humbly submit this narrative about the evolution of consciousness as it occurred in my life and in the lives of others of whom I am acquainted. I feel the true gospel of Christ is the cosmic sense, now in evidence in many cases across the face of the earth. This new sense or consciousness is the immortal pure self, the seed of God's image awakening within our souls. I believe that anyone can be a candidate, and that intelligent contact with Christ-conscious minds assists one toward this higher goal. The awakening and emergence of the pure self, if attained by the multitudes, will literally create heaven on earth. In the light of this divine consciousness, the human spirit will be revolutionized. Not my will, but thy will be done. Old concepts will be done away with. All will become new. This will not be a new religion or an ism of any sort. It will be people who are each guided within themselves by the same divine intelligence, the same wisdom, the same light. There will be no efforts to save men from their sins by the promise of a heavenly abode after death. All depends on the realization of one's individual soul. The dawning of the new consciousness will convey the realization that one has already attained the kingdom of heaven. Each spirit will know its oneness with all of life in the expanding spheres of creation. The Savior of humanity is the Christ sense, the pure self within. This is an evolving realization that destroys selfishness in the individual spirit, along with the sense of sin, shame, guilt, fear, henceforth divested forever. The most profound aspect of all this is the soul's sense of immortality. This is not a conviction that one shall attain eternal life, but the absolute reality that one already has. What a powerful way to begin his life story. It really, I'm just thinking right now, it reminds me of one of the 7 habits of highly effective people, and it's begin with the end in mind. And that's what Norm did there. He really laid out what the whole rest of his autobiography is about. It's a story of someone's search and the hardships that can come about because of that, and the struggles that can occur. But in the end, what he is saying in this writing, and what so many others say, all of the enlightened ones, is that this is something for each person. Each and every person is endowed with the ability to have this kind of realization. And so when I read something like this, or I watch something on YouTube and people are talking about how connected we are and talking about heaven on earth, you just have to kind of ask the question, well then, if we're all so connected already, and we all are already immortal, why don't we have heaven on earth right now? What's the problem? And are we doing something wrong? I mean, that's the human thing. That's a human thing to think. We must be doing something wrong. It's not necessarily true. But I wanted to talk a little bit today about an idea that has been shared here at Sunburst for many years. And it's the understanding of the fact that we are in a giant cycle within our solar system of evolution. And it's referred to as the Yuga cycles. And the Yugas were introduced in ancient India as a cycle that our solar system goes through, where we have what you would call highs and lows of divine consciousness. And I would say that it's much like the seasons that we experience here on Earth. We go around the sun, and some days are shorter and some days are longer, depending on what time of the year we're in. Some days are colder and some days are warmer. And you might think to yourself, well, we're experiencing something much better when the days are warmer, nicer. You know, unless you live in a place like Phoenix. And then you're on the opposite cycle of that. So I think the takeaway there is that no matter what cycle or what season we are in, there are good things to find in every single one. And spirit, divine consciousness, can be elevated within each one of us by our inner search, no matter where we are in this cycle, the Yuga cycle that I'll explain. So Sri Yukteswar, who was the teacher of Yogananda, wrote a book back in the late 1800s. He actually published it in 1894 called The Holy Science, and that was the year after Yogananda was born, 1894. And then Yukteswar became Yogananda's teacher later. And then Yogananda became Norm's teacher, the man who founded Sunburst. So in The Holy Science, Sri Yukteswar, he examined the Yuga cycles the way they had been laid out. And he determined that the cycles that had been laid out at a previous time were not really calculated correctly according to how he was looking at them. And he attributed it to the fact that they were probably calculated during a period of time when the energy was more dense on the planet and it was harder to get those calculations correct. But he talks about a 24,000 year cycle that our solar system goes through. And just, it's like the way our planet revolves around the sun. Well, in this cycle, our solar system, along with our sun, revolves around a twin star, which is somewhere out in deep space. And probably someday science will find this also and verify it. But 24,000 years is quite a while, so it obviously takes a long time for this revolution to happen. And sometimes we think of a rotation around something like you've got a body in the middle and then there's just this circle going around and around it like this. But this is more of an elliptical orbit that is happening between our sun and this twin star. And as we travel through space around this, and I guess it around us as well, there's a period where we're much closer to it, and then as we come away from it, we come out like this. So if it's sitting like this, when we're close to it, we're much closer to it for quite a while as we're going around it. And we've heard about how right now in the space age, they'll use the gravity of the planet to hurl a space capsule out into space. And I think it's similar, is that as we approach this twin star, we start to pick up speed. And it's been theorized that the actual picking up speed, that there's a correlation between that and the level of consciousness that we're experiencing. Is that true? I don't know for sure, but I could see how it could really make sense, because sometimes we think that things that are in the material world or in the physical world are separate from the things that are in the spiritual world, but in reality, it's all connected. And so is speed connected to consciousness as we travel through space? I think it's highly possible. And others will have to figure that out. So I want to talk a little bit about these different yuga cycles, or the different yugas that are within this cycle of this orbit. And when we're closest to this twin star, it's referred to as the spiritual age, or the age of cosmic consciousness. And that's when, in general, humanity is in possession of cosmic consciousness. And I remember Norm saying one time about it that in that period of time, it is as rare to find somebody with self-consciousness as it is now to find somebody with cosmic. And so, for the most part, humanity is in a state of self-consciousness right now. And but as we're in that state of consciousness, in that age, we have more of a likelihood of humanity being in a state of cosmic consciousness. It's also referred to as the age of the pure or enlightened heart. And so if we visualize that we're at the closest to the twin star up here, as we start to go away from that star and we start to go on this, what we'll call a descending arc, the next stage that we come to, the next yuga, is called Treta Yuga. And it's referred to as the mental age, and during that period, the comprehension of divine magnetism is prevalent. And it is also the age of the devoted heart. And I like the fact that there are these heart indicators in here, because this can sound just very dry and very scientific, but really, when everyone's heart is devoted, or when everyone's heart is pure, it lends that spiritual element to it. Balances out the scientific approach. And then as we move further down the arc, out of Treta Yuga, we go into Dwapara Yuga, and that is the energy age, and the comprehension of electricity and atomic energies. And it is the age of the steady heart. And then, as we continue down this arc, and from the top to the bottom, this arc is going to be 12,000 years. So as we get down to the bottom of the arc, we come into Kali Yuga, which is two 1,200-year segments back to back, so it's a 2,400-year cycle. And it's known as the material age. And it is the farthest point from the twin star. And the comprehension in the material age is gross materialism. And it is indicated by the restless heart. So we've worked our way from the very top of this orbit down to the bottom, and as we start back up, we enter back into another 2,400 years of Dwapara Yuga, which we came out of as we went into Kali. And then after those 2,400 years, we enter into another 3,600 years of Treta Yuga. And then as we exit Treta Yuga, we enter back into Satya Yuga. And the two segments of Satya Yuga are each 4,800 years. But again, like Kali Yuga at the bottom, the Satya Yuga is one continual age, two 4,800 years together, 9,600 years. It's the longest of the Yuga cycles, which I think is good. And if you noticed, I know there's a lot here to follow, but if you notice, each Yuga cycle, as you move further away from Satya Yuga, gets a little bit shorter. And at the bottom, Kali Yuga, the two cycles together are only 2,400 years. So teachers like Buddha and Jesus and many, many others, they came to Earth during Kali Yuga, what you might consider the material age and the darkest period. And, you know, we know why they came. They came to help humanity remember that we're not just material beings. We're not just confined to our five senses going out, out, out. And we're not just confined to the ups and downs of the moods of our mind and our body. But that they were showing us that through practice, you can improve your ability to perceive divine consciousness. According to Sri Yukteswar, we came out of Dwapara Yuga, out of Kali Yuga, into Dwapara Yuga on the upward arc around the year 1700. So we're very close still to the end of Kali Yuga and to the end of that strong material age that's so dense. But we can also look back over just the last couple hundred years, and it's pretty clear that the attributes of Dwapara Yuga, the comprehension of atomic energy and electrical energy, have really taken off. And that the things we couldn't even have imagined in the year 1900, what would be discovered by the year 2000, and by the year 2100, it's just going to continue to go and go and go, because we're on this upward spiral now. We're heading back towards this twin star, and our speed will be picking up if that has anything to do with our comprehension, or maybe it's just being in the proximity of this other body. Maybe that's all it has to do with the consciousness. But I wanted to talk about that today. I just wanted to mention it because it's kind of easy to become the opposite of hopeful and become discouraged sometimes when we look at what's going on the planet. And we think, well, my goodness, these same things were going on when I was just a kid, which was more than 20 years ago. And so, are things really getting better? Well, I believe they are getting better. Right now, if you are brave enough, or maybe, I don't know, I'm just going to say brave enough to watch the news, you would see that things are not really looking that good on the planet right now as far as consciousness goes. The way that people are treating each other. There's, Norm talked about the death of selfishness and of greed, and those things are still very much present within the consciousness, the self-consciousness of the planet right now. And it's so important as we move forward that we work hard to try to raise the vibration so that the people who are making decisions can have the benefit of another way of looking. And I say it's important that we do that because I do believe, and I know that most of you, maybe all of you in the room here, do believe that we have an impact on the energy of the planet. We're not just meditating for our own awakening. We're doing a work while we're here. We came here. We probably came here with the idea that I'm going to go down there, I'm going to land on that beachhead, and I'm going to fight to try to help establish centers of light and create places and ideas that people can use to improve their standing in terms of their consciousness. The evolution of consciousness on the planet, it is happening, and we have a big impact. And we shouldn't count ourselves out. We shouldn't think, well, what's one little person going to do? We can do a lot. We are all very, very powerful spiritual beings. In fact, it's been said, and it's probably true, that everything that we experience is because of something that we have personally projected in the past. That the reality that we're living in is something that we created through our own thoughts, our own projections, our own ideas. And sometimes we're living in heaven on earth because of those ideas, and sometimes it feels like we might be living in hell on earth because of the things that we've projected into the field of power around us. But we have the ability, wherever we find ourselves, to change it. And so we know that we don't have to go through a 24,000-year yuga cycle in order to go from a restless heart to a steady heart to a devoted heart to an enlightened heart. We know that we can do that no matter what age we are in, and that we can do it right now together. We can change internally. We can change the way we are, and it will have an outer effect on everyone around us and on the planet. So that was kind of a macrocosmic look at some hopeful energy. But it's a long time to wait if you're just going to say, well, that's hopeful, and then we'll just wait 24,000 years. But on a little more microcosmic level, I just want to share this quote that it's an anonymous quote, but my friend Letha said it to me a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this subject, and she said, my favorite quote is, "Where there is life, there is hope." And this is something we can see with our own two eyes. We can walk out of the temple today, and we can see that beautiful blue sky. And we can see that sun, and we know that that sun is life-giving to the earth. And this time of year in particular, when the grasses are so green and the ranch is so beautiful, it's even easier to see it. And there's buds on the trees, and there's leaves on the trees. Pretty soon there's going to be little baby fawns bouncing around in the fields, and baby birds chirping for food. And you don't have to live here to experience that. Wherever you live, you're going to see signs of this new life, which is hope. And it's part of this cycle that we're on this planet. Hope is the anchor of the soul, providing stability, courage, and inner peace. Let's spend some time now in quiet meditation together. Finding that place within that Norm talked about in his writing, that we don't have to go out there anywhere, but we can find it within, expanding dimensions of consciousness within our own soul. And that all of the answers to all of our questions lie within us. And through deep contemplation, they will be answered. There's such a profoundly deep peace that settles in on us when we meditate together. And we are lucky to be able to sit together and do this. And I know that we have friends who watch us on YouTube, and I just want to encourage you, wherever you are, to continue your practice and come and see us anytime that you can. And if you have an opportunity to meditate with a group, no matter how small it is, even just one other person, there's so much strength. I wanted to close by sharing just one other little story of hope. That when I received this topic, or I tuned into it, it was back. I remember the first thing that came to my mind was keep hope alive. And I thought to myself, well, that was a Barack Obama campaign saying. But then I looked it up, and it wasn't Barack Obama. It was Jesse Jackson. And then within just a couple weeks after looking that up, Jesse Jackson passed away. And so there were some things on TV and on the internet about Jesse Jackson. And of course I knew who Jesse Jackson was, but I didn't really know him. But the images that stick with me are that he ran for president back in the 80s 2 times, the last time in 1988. And when he said keep hope alive, it was on a level about something so personal and deep to him that I can't even relate to it myself. Maybe others can. But in 2008, there was a video of him at Barack Obama's inauguration. Or maybe it was his speech that he gave before his inauguration in Chicago. And Jesse Jackson was in the crowd along with so many other people, obviously. And he just had tears running down his face. His pledge to keep hope alive, right then, in that moment, was being fulfilled. Progress was being made socially. And we can't really see sometimes the progress that is being made. But we can look back in our lifetime and we can see progress being made in that regard right there. We had an African American president. Right now, it seems like the spiral and the way that things are turning are not heading in that direction. But I do believe that it continues to arc up, and we will see more justice and more realizations socially in that regard. And then I'll quote George Harrison at the end here, if I can remember how it goes exactly. But from his song, Give Me Love, give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load, trying to touch and feel you with heart and soul. And that's the hope we have, to touch and feel divine spirit with heart and soul.
Deep down inside I've got that everlasting love, it's shining Like the sun, it radiates on everyone. And the more that I give, the more I've got to give. It's the way that I live. It's all I'm living for. Deep down inside, I've got that everlasting love. It's shining like the sun. It radiates on everyone. And the more that I give, the more I've got to give. It's the way that I live. It's all I'm living for.
Deep down inside, I've got that everlasting love. It's shining like the sun. It radiates on everyone.
And the more that I give, the more I've got to give. It's the way that I live. It's all I'm living for. Shining like the sun, it radiates on everyone. And the more that I give, the more I've got to give. It's the way that I live. It's all I'm living for. Yes, the more that I give, the more I've got to give. It's the way that I live. It's all I'm living for. May the grace of God bless men and every woman in this land. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Whatever comes to meet us, you know the darkness won't defeat us. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Some say the end is coming, said our souls are running, but I say, stay strong and keep your faith alive. Let's all come together, take care of each other. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Raise your hand, in the air. Stay strong, keep your faith alive. Take a stand, say a prayer. Stay strong, keep your faith alive. Hand in hand and side by side, with hearts open wide. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Help others find a way, create heaven here today. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Raise your hand, in the air. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Take a stand, say a prayer. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. In times like these we need to remember what is real. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. United in our quest to spread love and happiness. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Raise your hand. Raise your hands. In the air. In the air. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Take a stand. Take a stand. Say a prayer. Say a prayer. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Jai Ram Ram Bolo, Sita Ram. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. In the air. In the air. Stay strong, keep your faith alive. Lend a hand. Lend a hand. Say a prayer. Say a prayer. Stay strong, keep your faith alive. Stay strong and keep your faith alive. Stay strong and keep your faith alive.